Hey there, kids, and welcome to an episode of Tekking's Clues! Whose clues? Tekking's Clues! Today is going to be a very special episode because we're going to try to find the location of the fourth road Poneglyph. And that's why I'm going to need your help because no one knows where the darn thing is. So, keep your eyes peeled in this video for Blue's paw prints so we can find clues that I could put down in our handy-dandy notebook, and maybe we'll find the location of this magical rock that leads to the largest treasure in the world. In fact, we already have one of the clues already. The other road Poneglyphs. One's in the possession of the minks on Zo, another owned by Big Mom, and a third by Kaido. But where's the fourth one at? Well, keep those peepers peeled, and we might just find out. Okay, so a brief overview of how Poneglyphs work in the One Piece world. Well, there's 30 of them in total. Most of them just consist of history on certain islands, like the one that was in the Alabasta Crypt. All of them are made out of incredibly dense and hard-to-break substance. We don't really know what the substance is called, but it's some type of rock. And the stonemasons that were the Kozuki clan back during the Void Century carved these things. They're the only ones that knew how to. And in order to preserve the history so the world government couldn't just, the world government can burn paper, but these things were so huge, so heavy, and so dense, they couldn't crush them. Now, you could always get rid of them in other ways by throwing them to the bottom of the ocean and stuff, but keep in mind, in the world of One Piece, where there's races of people like the fishmen and the merfolk, just because you throw something to the bottom of the ocean doesn't mean it's going to be gone forever, like the Poneglyph that Jinbei discovered in his, cover series. Now, there are 9 of these Poneglyphs that are the Rio Poneglyphs, when put together, create the true history of the Void Century that are sought after by Nico Robin. We're not here to talk about those today, though. We're here to talk about another certain subsection of the Poneglyphs, and that are the Road Poneglyphs. There are 4 of these, and they're red in color to distinguish them from the other ones. Now, the reason that these Road Poneglyphs are so important is because each of them have a location, and these locations themselves, we don't really know where they're at, but they specify certain islands or points in the New World. You gather all 4 Road Poneglyphs together, chart all of the locations that they individually mention on a map, and then at the point where all of those Road Poneglyph locations intersect, you got X marks the spot for Raftel Island, the place where all of the mysteries of the One Piece world will hopefully be answered, as well as the resting place of the One Piece. This is the last island that Roger arrived to on his journey, and most likely where the Grand Treasure One Piece is located. Now, the Straw Hat Pirates have managed to acquire 2 of these Poneglyphs so far, the one on Zo, and then our lovable Soul King Skeleton risked his second life in Big Mom's territory, went toe-to-toe with the Yonko in order to get a rubbing of the second one. So far they're halfway there. Now, this is something I've actually been mistaken on before, and I actually had to look into it, so I will provide some visual aids for you for this one. I used to think that you didn't even need all 4 Road Poneglyphs, because the way that the example was given in the chapter, it was laid out like this. Like the 4 Poneglyphs were at these locations like in a square, and then they lined up, and then Raftel was at the center. Yeah, that is one way it could go down, so I figured, like, you don't even need the 4th one at that point. Just have 3 Poneglyphs together, and then it should be able to indicate the location, right? Well, yeah, I guess that would be true if Raftel just happened to be dead center in all 4 of these Poneglyphs, and if the locations were, like, laid out like that square in a perfect way, but that's most likely how it's not going to go down. No, you need all 4 in order to find the exact location of Raftel. If it was easy, somebody would have found it already, you know what I mean? So, yeah, the Poneglyphs could be laid out perhaps like this, or like this, and so the location wouldn't exactly be dead center, you know what I mean? So, yeah, you gotta try to find all 4, get the locations, charter them down, and then you can find Raftel. Now, where is the 4th one at? It's important to bring up that the 4th one is just not lost forever. There are definitely people in the One Piece world that knows where it is, they just don't care. Like, for instance, Shanks. Shanks definitely knows where the 4th Road Poneglyph is, but getting to, Raftel and claiming, the One Piece, that's not really on Shanks' agenda, specifically because that was his captain and everything, and I'm sure Shanks doesn't want that treasure to fall into the wrong hands like Blackbeard or somebody, but Shanks isn't out there to actually claim the One Piece for himself. You could also make an argument that Buggy knows about the whereabouts of it, but once again, Buggy, he might be an idiot sometimes, but he has moments of clarity. He has, like, a code, you know what I mean? Like, there was that one time when, after Ace appeared on their ship and they ate their food and stuff, I think one of the members of Buggy's crew, it was like, Kabaji or Moji or somebody mentioned, we should get back at him for doing that. And Buggy was like, oh, no, we do not mess with the Whitebeard pirates. Let me tell you a tale, man. If you take only one thing I've ever said in my entire life seriously, take this seriously. Do not mess with the Whitebeard pirates. Whitebeard also, he might know the location of the fourth Poneglyph, but once again, he doesn't care. He never cared about finding Raftel. And even he didn't even need the road Poneglyph, because during his last meeting with Roger, when they were sipping sake in that, like, cherry blossom field or whatever, Roger even straight up asks him, do you want me to tell you where Raftel is? I could specify the exact location of it. And Whitebeard's like, nah, I have no real interest in that place. So, he might have known, he might not. And I understand that Whitebeard is dead now. I'm saying that maybe if he knew, maybe his crew would know. But once again, not really something Whitebeard or his crew has ever really been that interested in. You know what I mean? So I don't think that we're going to find the answer there. Now, keep in mind, the road Poneglyph might have actually moved since the time of Roger. Like, Roger's crew might have stumbled upon it somewhere and then jotted it down and managed to find Raftel, and in the 24 years between then and now, maybe someone found it and moved it to another location. That's entirely likely as well. However, with just considering the sheer size of these things, I mean, it's not impossible to move. Like, Kaido is in possession of one and Big Mom is, and they definitely had to move it from their original resting locations. So, it's not impossible, but it's just kind of a pain in the ass, you know what I mean? And the only reason, like, Jinbei was able to cart one out of the sea is, I think, because he had Watatsume's help in that one. Not a really easy thing to move these around and transport them. But, keep in mind that the fourth road Poneglyph might have not been in the same location, but somebody like Shanks would definitely know at least the location that's specified on the road Poneglyph. So even if they don't know the exact location, that's the thing. You don't really need to find the actual physical thing. You just need to know the information that's on it, because that location only matters once you have the three other locations, right? So I'm not saying that at some point Luffy and Shanks are going to meet up again and Shanks is just going to tell Luffy the location of the Poneglyph, because that would just be kind of like, oh well, that was rather easy. I mean, it's a possibility, but I don't think it's going to go down that way. I was also thinking that the way that Oda tends to do this kind of stuff, it's Oda, I don't want to completely throw out the possibility that the fourth road Poneglyph, they might just accidentally stumble across it. Like, let me set the stage for you, okay? The Straw Hats are on some random island, running around, doing their adventure on that particular island, whatever it happens to be, and then Zoro gets lost for the umpteenth time, stumbles over a rock, falls down into a cave, and he gets back up, and he's like, oh, my head. Oh, check it out. And he finds the fourth road Poneglyph. Now, that sounds kind of goofy and stuff, like something out of like an episode of Scooby-Doo. Oh, we managed to find the monster's mask in this strange cabinet. I wonder if it's old Mr. McGreedy. But no, seriously, think about it. I mean, would that not be funny? There have been theories for years, and I would still love this to actually be the case, that Zoro's misdirection is eventually going to lead to some amazing discovery. Like, the way that I always wanted this to go down, and I really hope Oda does it. If he doesn't do it with the road Poneglyph, at least do it with this. When the Straw Hats finally get to Raftel, which that's going to be a point somewhere in the story, they get to Raftel. I'm imagining Raftel is not going to be a tiny little island. I imagine it's going to be, sizable enough that, the One Piece isn't just going to be sitting on the beach, you know what I mean? Like, they're going to have to look for it. I imagine the Straw Hats going in these underground catacombs, looking through doors, trying to find it, and Zoro gets lost, and he's the one that stumbles across the big ornate door that leads to the treasure chamber of the One Piece. That's how I personally would prefer it, but yeah, so let's not roll that idea out either. Also, we all know I'm a big fanboy of the moon. The moon is a very majestic place, home to a thunder god, I hear. And hey, if no one knows really where it is, maybe that just means that it wasn't on the surface of the globe, because keep in mind, Kaido and Big Mom both have been searching for this thing for literally decades. Like, Big Mom has been searching for this thing before even Roger was around, I'm pretty sure. Because the whole thing with her is that Roger showed up on her island and managed to steal away the information of her Poneglyph, and then, you know, he got away. So, that would to imply that Big Mom already had the road Poneglyph at that point, 24-something years ago, and she knew about the significance of it, and, you know, she already, you know, carted it off to her castle when Roger showed up and stole that information from her. So, yeah, they've been looking for these for decades, and they have incredible, like, if anyone would find them, it would be either the Yonko or the government, because they're the ones that have complete control over the ocean. If you know, divvy it up between the Yonko and the Marines, they own pretty much the entire, you know, ocean in terms of, like, their followers. You know, the world government has the Navy, the Yonko have their massive crew. Like, from what we saw with Big Mom's crew, it's not even, you know, a crew is kind of just a modest term. It's a freaking fleet. You know, she has, like hundreds of ships under her employ. Probably something similar with Kaido. Shanks is sort of the exception. Shanks is just kind of a chill dude that just hangs out on his one ship with a crew of, like, less than 100 because he doesn't need it, because he's Shanks. My point is, these crews, Kaido's and Big Mom's, have been searching for the, you know, road Poneglyph, the fourth one, for years. And Kaido even got pretty close to finding the location of the one on Zou. So you can't just say that, like, oh, well, the one on Zou's never been discovered. Pretty close, pretty close. Kaido's crew got pretty damn, you know, close to that location, but the Mink's loyalty and everything managed to, you know, and then the Straw Hats showed up to help out and everything with Doflamingo distracted Jack for him to get away. But hey, imagine this. If, Jack didn't have to leave because of the whole Doflamingo thing, and the Straw Hats never showed up at Zou, and Jack just, you know, took out all the Minks and then proceeded to just crush every single last inch of Zou until he found it, he probably would have. So, yeah, it was kind of like circumstance there, but they got pretty close to that, you know, chestnut, so that's the case there. Now, if it was on the moon, that would mean that at some point Roger and his crew had to journey to the moon. But I'm fine with that. Roger was the king of the pirates, so I wouldn't doubt at some point during their journeys they managed to get all 3 road Poneglyphs, and then they had to go to because the moon in One Piece is different than our moon. Like, it's a lot closer for one thing, and there's a breathable atmosphere. Like, you don't need necessarily to have a really long, you know, convoluted method to get to the moon. All you really need is a balloon to have you float all the way up to it. I'm not making that up either. That literally happens in a cover story. Those automata literally just tie their arms to balloons and float up to the moon. Eneru had his arc, Maxim, which made it a little easier because that was like it had his own propulsion system and he just flew directly up to it, landed on it, and he's there right now. So, yeah, in theory, if the Roger Pirates somehow figured out a way to tie like a balloon or something onto their ship, they could just float right up. By the way, while we're on the subject of the Roger Pirates ship, the Oro Jackson, I just want to... This is something I've kind of thought was weird for a while now, but in one of the recent episodes of the anime, the one with Pedro, you know, forever in our hearts, there was a flashback, and the anime included a few extra shots of the Oro Jackson arriving at Zou, and there was a close-up of the ship, and we've seen this before, but it's always bugged me. What is this? Is this like an egg or something? Why do the Roger Pirates have a giant egg on their ship? Or is it part of the actual ship? Is it like a room that has like a specific dome? It looks like an egg. It looks like the Roger Pirates were out journeying, found a massive like dragon egg or something, and then threw it on their ship. It's like Roger's like, we're taking this with us, me hearties! Onward to Raftel! What is it? I'm just, little caveat, I don't know. Maybe I should put that in the friggin', you know, the handy dandy notebook here. Which, by the way, let's examine the next clue we have. All right, so keep an eye out for the next clue here. Where are we? What are we looking at? We're looking for a blue paw print, guys. Remember, blue paw print. Have any of you ever seen Blue's Clues? I don't know. I don't see any over here. Don't see any over here. I don't know. I guess we can't find it. Well, I guess it's lost forever. What? Look behind me. Nope. Nothing there. I don't know what you guys are... Oh! There it is! Yes! The next clue! Aha! So our second clue is some sort of straw-based headwear. Interesting. Interesting indeed. All right, let me just flip it into my handy-dandy notebook. Okay, so far we have a road Poneglyph and a straw hat. Where is this going? Mary Geoise! That's where this is going. So that's the next idea. that if the road poneglyph was in fact discovered since Roger's crew had it, or at least got the information from it, it's possible one of the groups would have been the world government. They could have found it, they could have definitely had the resources to move it, and remember that treasure vault that the Imsama was looking in at, during Reverie, that everyone freaked out over because we had the giant straw hat there that was frozen? That treasure vault might in fact hold not just the straw hat, but other varieties of very rare treasures in the world, and I think the road poneglyph would definitely count for that. I mean, I know many of you might not be a fan of that theory, because, once again, like, are the Straw Hats gonna, spin around the Sunny and go back up to the Red Line and then get to the top and Mary Geoise? Like, how would that even work? But I'm just saying it makes sense from the standpoint of, where the other poneglyphs are. One of them is on Zunisha, this phantom island that doesn't really have a fixed location, guarded by the Minks, and two others are in the hands of Yonko, so I think it's fair to assume that at least one other would be in the possession of either the Marines or the world government, and if they did have possession of it, they would put it in their most secure vault underneath Pangea Castle. Yeah. Also, it would explain why just no one knows where the darn thing is located, if they got a hold of it and they moved it from its previous location, then they wouldn't tell anybody about it. Like, even the Marines probably wouldn't know about it. Hell, even like Sengoku or Sakazuki now, as the fleet admiral, might not even know the location of the friggin' thing. It would probably just be like, Imsama would know where it is, and the Gorosei, and that would probably just be it. Because they don't want it, as long as they have that one, they can't destroy it, and they can't even really get rid of it, because even if they try to get rid of it, then somebody might discover it someday. So just keep it in your castle vault until the end of time, and no one will be able to find the existence of the island, which means there has to be some other way in order to get that information, like I said, that the Straw Hats would maybe seek out. Maybe not necessarily Rayleigh, but maybe some other, or Shanks, but maybe another member of the Roger Pirates. Maybe Scopper Gabon, maybe that dude, maybe Seagull. Remember Seagull? I remember Seagull. They might have to seek them out in order to find the exact location of where the fourth road poneglyph points to. It's certainly a toughie. I'll tell you something, though. I can pretty much guarantee you where the road poneglyph is not, and I highly doubt it is on any just random island along the log pose route. So remember when Inuarashi was explaining this to Nami, because we always used to think, based on what Crocus said, if you follow the log pose throughout the New World, each magnetically charged island after another, eventually you get to the end of the Grand Line. We assumed that that last island was Raftel, but it is in fact not. I just took to calling it Last Island because we don't know the name of it. Now, it might possibly be, this is the location where Roger learned about the existence of the road poneglyphs, so it's highly likely that Last Island was the place where the fourth road poneglyph was. Roger got that information, and since then it's been moved. Because if that was the case, Inuarashi, they might have known about it. Maybe Roger would have told them where it was or anything. They would have said, oh yeah, the last, you just keep following that log pose, you get to the last island in the Grand Line, and then that's where the last poneglyph is. But that's not the case. So if it was on Last Island, it was definitely moved. Also, I doubt it was on any other random island along that route, because that's like the high traffic, path of the Grand Line. Just go to the islands that are directed by the log pose. I know in the New World that you have a log pose that gives you like 3 different paths to go with, but you'd think that the Yonko would have, or the Marines would have definitely found the last poneglyph if it's such a rare thing, and it was on one of these high traffic islands. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, in order, you know what would make sense, though? I'll tell you what would make perfect sense. You would need to have an island that was isolated from the rest of the world, kind of like Wano. I don't think that the last road poneglyph is on Wano, though, because Kaido is there. Although, who's to say that the road poneglyph that Kaido currently has in his possession, who's to say that wasn't originally found on Wano? But I don't think that they're going to find a road poneglyph on Wano that isn't Kaido's, because that's the point. They're there to try to get Kaido's. I don't think there's going to be 2 on one island. That would be kind of, really putting your eggs in one basket there. But if only there was, like, some other island that was in the New World. We're not talking about Sky Islands or anything under the ocean. An island in the New World that was kind of isolated. And not just isolated, it would have to also be like, not allied with the world government. And not only that, you would have to have an island that's isolated, not allied with the world government, and guarded by incredibly powerful armies so that it could repel the Yonko or if the Marines tried to get to it, I don't know where you would find an island like that, though. But anyway, I think it's about time we try to find the third clue in our handy-dandy notebook so we can maybe crack this case, alright? So, I'm gonna move the camera a little bit over here to the, right, so maybe we could try to find something over here. Oh, you like those, Attack on Titan plaques up there? I was doing a live stream last night and someone pointed them out. Yeah, I made those myself. They were really nice. I need to redo them, though, because they're getting kind of old and bent. I, need to add one of the ones for the, like the training corps, the one with the sword when Eren and Mikasa and everybody were in training. Oh, you like that Ichigo's Vastalorde mask, too? Red Alex gave that to me a few years back, made out of, like, plaster. It's pretty cool, pretty cool. There's Negan. Played by Jeffrey Dean Morgan, who is in The Walking Dead. The Walking Dead, by the way, it's kind of just getting for me. I'm not really a big fan of it anymore. But, yeah, I can't seem to find that third, paw print over here, so, I mean, I could keep bragging about my collection of nerdy stuff all day, but I don't think that's going to really get us anywhere, Hammer. What hammer? I don't see Oh, I see a hammer! Okay! Alright, so the God Hammer of Mjolnir. Alright, so let's do that as our third clue. Alright, so, Scoot, we have a road poneglyph, a straw hat, and the God Hammer of Mjolnir. What could this possibly mean? Elbaf, anybody? Actually, that would be the one that I would like the most. I mean, I'm a big fan of the moon and everything like that. I like that theory, but if the fourth road poneglyph was on Elbaf, I think that freaking ties up a lot of loose strings. Because for one thing, we do not know where Elbaf is in the New World. We know it's in the New World, but that's all we know. It might be along the path of the log pose. It might not be, okay? And even if it is, it's not the kind of place that you can just get to and then look around, because the giants live there. And they have massive armies of giants. And they have giant weapons and everything. So it's an island you just don't want to mess with. So I would like to think that the island is maybe a little bit removed. It's kind of like off on its own little area, right? And it's not easy to get to. Kind of like Wano. That's another thing, too. Is Wano even part of the log pose, like the magnetic? I don't think it is, because Kinemon had to give Nami, like, specific instructions on how to get there and everything. And I think they had to follow the Vivra cards in order to get there. I don't think that Nami used the log pose for that. Maybe she did. Maybe I'm remembering it wrong, but maybe it's not. Every time that we've heard about the island of Elbaf, they've always had, like, eternal poses to get there. Like, Dory and Bragi had one, and then Oimo and Kashi had one. So maybe it is a magnetic island. It's just, it's off the beaten path, so to speak, and not a lot of people just travel there because it's kind of dangerous because of the giants and everything. Now, as for the Alliance of the World Government, though, that's another thing, because we know that there is a giant squad in the Marines, right? We know, like, during Marineford, they had that huge giant squad, like LaCroix and Ronce, they were all part of that. So, and John Giant as well. So it lends the belief that Elbaf is allied with the Marines and the World Government in some way. But I find it very hard to believe that the Marines and the World Government would just be allowed to go to Elbaf whenever they wanted and just kind of snoop around. You know what I mean? Like, it's a place that really does seem like to be very honorable and like a warrior culture, and I just don't see them like, okay, well, you allied with us, so we're going to set up a Marine base on Elbaf, and we're going to, like, keep in mind, and you're going to have to answer to us and everything like that. I don't see that being the case. It might be more of, like, a case-by-case basis with the Giants. Like, if the Giants went to journey out into the sea, and they happen to join up with the Marines, that's fine. And the Oimo and Kashi thing, the reason that they were working for, the world government in Eni's lobby is they were sort of like, they were told misinformation. They were sort of blackmailed for that. But so, yeah, there are giants that obviously work for the world government, but then keep in mind also that not all giants originate from Elbaf. Because Jaguar D. Sol, he was a giant, but he even mentioned, I'm not from that place. So, yeah, it's not entirely likely that every single giant we see here in the squad is from Elbaf. And the Straw Hats have to go there eventually, because it's been hyped up so freaking much. The whole thing with Loki and everything, and the flashback we had with Big Mom last arc, and we have the new giant warrior pirates that are headed up by Hyrudine, and it has everybody on there. So yeah, the Straw Hats are, and Usopp's, he always wanted to go to Elbaf, so the Straw Hats are definitely going to go to Elbaf at some point. And also keep in mind, Elbaf is also a really ancient island. It's like a culture that's been around for a very long time, since even before the Void Century, most likely. So if there's any place that, the Poneglyph would have have been protected that the Kozuki clan might have given them to. Like, well, let's give some, like, it's kind of doing it like the, Lord of the Rings. We give these rings to the dwarves and these rings to the elves. Give this Poneglyph to the giants because they've been around for thousands of years and they can definitely protect their island. Maybe, like, Elbaf, we don't know a lot about it, but it probably has a history of, like, not being invaded or something because, giants. So I would probably put most of my betting money right now on it being located there. I think I'd be the most content if it was there. I mean, if it was on the moon, that'd be cool too, but Elbaf I think would also make the most sense. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, even though we didn't exactly figure out the location of the Poneglyph because only really Oda knows where the location of the Poneglyph is. But we got clues! We got clues, right? That's something. Yeah. Blue's Clues reference. I just realized, I mean this seriously. Blue's Clues is not on the air anymore. I don't think it is. I think it went off the air a while ago. If they ever bring back Blue's Clues, like they're gonna reboot it or something, I should probably audition to be the host of that show. I think I could do a fairly good job. I made this notebook today. I already have all of the qualifications. I think I got this. But yeah, thanks for watching the video, everybody. Leave your ideas for where you think the road Poneglyph is below. If you think it's in a location other than where I'm trying to rack my brain, trying to figure out, because I feel like the location where it is has to be significant. I don't think it's going to be like the Straw Hats land on some random rock out in the middle of the ocean and like, oh, it was here the whole time, or it was under the ocean the entire time. That's why I'm like, okay, think of really important locations. So the last island in the Grand Line, Elbaf, the moon. Some places like Mary Geoise, like it has to be in some of those rare locations that are kind of hard to get to. It can't just be anywhere, because it wouldn't be technically lost then, But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed. This will be Tekking101 signing out. Later, guys. Duchess, you want to be in my Blue's Clues video? Come on, Duchess, it'll be fun. Getting this dog on camera is such a pain. Come here, girl. Come here, girl. Come on. There she is. Come on, Duchess. I'm doing a Blue's Clues parody. You're a dog. Come on, Duchess. Don't leave me hanging, girl. Come on.